Beckett's over here killing the fly. All right, I got my companion Beckett helping with the live stream today. Hopefully everyone can hear me out there, and y'all are doing good. Welcome to another Retainer Designer live stream, Sunday live stream, as we tend to do now. But today I have a little story to tell, and that is I'm helping out this one lab guy that I know. We served on the board together, the National Association board, and he asked if his ortho guy's retiring, and he asked if I could help do some of his ortho while they, find ortho guys. Like, sure, send it over. So they mailed it, and I did it. And, oh, that fly's back, Beckett. No. Anyway, so what I was saying was, Beckett, what are you doing? Please ignore any flies. Okay. Thanks. I'm sure that's going to help. Anyway, he calls me. I send the first one back, and it was like I forget what I made. It was a RPE or something like that. And he goes, do you not have a welder? I was like, yeah, I got a welder. He goes, well, we laser weld everything here. I was like, oh, because I laser weld and I put a little bit of solder over the laser weld so that it will be smoother, because I don't like the way my welds work. That fly, sorry, our guest appearance today is the fly. But today we're going to be doing a laser weld. Not laser, I don't have a laser weld. I have a puck. Let's see. It's this. This is my Lampert PUK D5. We're going to be using that. And we are going to attempt to weld and no solder. Try to do a nice weld joint. I did do a band and loop yesterday, and I wish Friday, and I wish I would have taken a picture of it. I think it turned out pretty good. And so yeah, we are going to do that today. We have a lingual arch and a Nance. I don't know if I can get them both done because this is going to take me a while. I'm really nervous because usually I can cover up all my mistakes with solder, and I like the solder. It makes it nice and smooth. Makes it, I think, smoother to the patient. But I do know laser weld or pulse arc weld like I do is ideal. It looks good too. So I do have them here. Here is the Nance. I already have it prepped, and I already have the bands on. And the bands, actually on the lower, they did ask for a half size bigger, so a little bit bigger than I would have fit. But this is what we're going to work with. So we're going to work with 036 wire. See if I can find that. Yep. And again, I'm kind of nervous about this because if y'all haven't done this, if y'all haven't welded before, looking at your weld under a microscope like this is a very humbling experience. It will really train you to bend well. So I'm going to try to do both these. I don't know because I've got to be very, very exact with this. But let's start with the Nance. And I'm just going to do my basic Nance bend here. And that's just like a little V shape. And we will do like this and like this. And I'm just going to get the rough shape going here. And I'm already hitting the bands, but let's see. Okay. I had to turn the lights down a bit because it was blowing out the model. You couldn't see it. I have all the settings for my gray resin model. So this is actually a resin model. I believe it's from a carbon printer, and it's a really nice resin. Now I need a pen. Oh, I did put it over here. So this is where things get I have to get exact. So I need this to touch so much against that band. Can I zoom in a little bit? The lighting's not so good, but let's see if I can brighten it up a bit. I don't know if that helps. A little bit more, a little bit more. I guess that helps out a little bit. This wire has to touch that band. So again, I'm very nervous about this because my wire bending is going to be exposed to the world here. So I'm going to make a mark where I think that's going to be. And then I'm just going to bend it. Try to get it as, you got to contact this as much as possible, the wire against the band. And that's going to make welding way more easier. So I'm going to make a mark here. I'm going to bend this 90 degrees up. And I think we are getting there. See how it's a lot slower going. And like I said, I usually get these tacked on, just regular welding. And then take this off the model and then add a little bit of solder just to fill in the gaps, fill in it just smooths it out some, and I think it adds a little bit of strength because this is actually going to be a point of failure almost. And, you'll have the band here, and then you're only touching, like here's your band, right, and your wire is touching here, and you're only welding here and here, and so I feel like it flexes. But if I cover it a little bit with solder, it tends to help with that. Now, if anybody out there has a excellent way of doing this, please share to make this do better. Now, I am using Leone bands. They're a little bit thicker, and I think when you go into welding, you really need thicker bands. You can't be welding on thin bands. You'll just blow holes right through it. And this way, you can actually turn up the power a little bit and on the welder and really get a good weld in there. So I think this might have gone a little bit better. Let me know if y'all do any kind of adjustment loops here, or if y'all do any recurve loops there. I think I won't know until I get under the microscope. That's the bad thing. But let me go ahead and cut this. Now I just bent this up to have a handle, and I'm going to look at this in a different way and just see if I can see if there's any gaps, because I need this to be absolutely flush. Now, one thing I may do is have to do the top side and then tease this off so I can get up underneath a lot easier. Now I can already tell I need to curve this right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. If y'all can see that right there. I'm gonna try to put a little bend right here. It's just slightly flared out. Beckett, can you see that? You can't see that, can you? It's a little hard. What I'm trying to point out, can you see a little gap there? That end is kind of... All right, let me just bend it and see. Just going to curve it just a little bit. Beckett, you did kill one of these flies, right? We have one of these electric fly swatters in the lab for whenever flies somehow get into the lab. Now, one thing I may want to do is, yeah, I want to change some things. I see some things. You see there's the gap right here. I don't like how far away it is from the roof of the mouth. This one is fine. And then I kind of want to bend this around about here to make this go more parallel with the band. And I'll do the same thing over here. So, how am I going to do this? I'm telling you, the welder is a very humbling experience. There we go. So I'm just curving this a little bit. I heard you, Becky. Oh, there you go. Mr. Martinez, hello. Sorry I'm late. Oh, that is fine. I'm starting a little bit early. The Cowboys, usually, you know, I usually time these around the Cowboy game. Cowboys, when they play. But in this case, they played on Thursday, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I just did 5 o'clock as the start time. I'm starting to sweat. This is getting... See, I get to where I think it's perfect, and then I go to wax it down to hold it so I can go weld, and it's completely off. See, now I wish I wouldn't have cut off my little handle I had. Now, I have seen some people use like a bit of clay to hold this down. And again, let me remove this wax because it's getting in my way now. I'm being overly cautious here because I know what it's going to look like under the microscope. Iliac Martinez, did you you got some free samples from JBC when you ordered stuff, right? You sent me a picture on Snapchat, not Snapchat. WhatsApp. Were those free samples that you got with your order? That was pretty cool that she did that. Okay, I see it. I'm a little flared right here. You see that flare? I'm going to try to curve that in. The ducks, if you hear them outside, they are hungry and waiting to get fed. They get fed around an hour before dark or so. Okay. I think I'm pretty close. Yep. Yes, sir. It was nice of her. And the color chart. Nice color chart she had. Yes. Yeah, and she almost... You almost need it, don't you? With all those colors she has to offer. That's what's behind me here is her colors, all her colors. And that her color chart has every single one of those colors on the color chart. I think there's 80 something on there. Now I'm just double checking. I like the way this looks. I like the way that looks. This one, I think I can live with that. The bad thing is these are kind of flared a little bit. So, all right, now, with this Lampert, one of the number one things, two things for getting a good weld is make sure your wires touch. And second, make sure your electrode tip is sharp. So I do need to resharpen these, so I'm going to show this, my resharpening process. I keep them in this little thing. I think when I first bought it, it came with a little cover, and these were all sticking upright like this in the foam. So that's a little bit of foam. So what I do is I need to get a new diamond disc. I have this diamond disc thing, and it's got a little button here, and it spins this little diamond thing. And so I'll get a few of these going, and I just hold it against this ledge here, and I'm twisting it. Let's see if I can get, I know this isn't very exciting, but I'm just showing you the process I go through to get a good weld on here, because I cannot cover up any mistakes with solder. Another thing, the bands are pretty small. Of course, as you can see on this model, it's a very small mouth. I need to get some new electrodes, because this is these are getting kind of small. And I do both sides, both ends, so then I can just, when I dull one tip, I need to, I can just take it out, flip it over. You go through a lot of these, so just prepare yourself. It's not, you know, these are cheaper than a laser welder. Laser welders, tens of thousands of dollars, and this puck was $5,000. So, and it is a pulse arc. It uses a electrode like so. Oh, hold up. I may be able to print the STL due to Helene. Lights went out that day. Oh no, but we didn't get hit so hard. Oh, excellent. So yeah, I got in Tennessee. I got some of that hurricane, I guess. That was pretty bad. I feel bad for all the Ortho labs out there that got hit, and Ortho offices. Hope they're all doing good. Oh, I haven't been able to print the STL due to Helene. Lights went out that day. Woo! Man, I didn't realize how bad that was. Okay. So, this is, I have, you can't see it. Well, maybe if I switch over to here. So I have, I'll zoom out a bit. So I have all these in a little foam container here. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to remove that. Now whenever they're dull, I just lay them down horizontal in there, and then I grab one of these ones that I just did, that I sharpened, and then I have a little measuring guide. And we got a nice new sharp point. So let's see if I can zoom in a bit on that. And let's see how bad this is. Not so bad. That could use a little bit of work. Let me mark this. And sometimes this happens like this. I'm going to put a little mark. This one, so there's a divot in the band, and I really can only weld here and here, and otherwise I think I can get a weld on that side. But this other side, I think I need to just pull it in on that distal side a bit. So let me pop this off and do a little bit of a, where's my other 3-prong? I don't know. Where am I? So there's my mark. I'm just going to curve it a bit. I do want to drop this down just a bit. I wish I could be accurate enough to go inside that, so that, you know, they got those little divots in the bands, which you'd think would go only on the buckle. Re-wax, remelt that wax. Ah, it's stuck to my finger. I want it in either the middle of the tooth or just above the middle of the tooth. This one's a little high. This is a little long, but I think I can trim that off later. Okay, back to this. That is the wrong one. That is the correct one. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's not attached to the wax. All right, so I'm going to take my grounding wire, touch it there, and then, oh, I gotta do my settings. So I'm on stainless steel, and I'm going to start with this low setting here, but since I'm using thick bands, I can usually go to this higher setting, which is this middle. So for those that can't read this, this is 28% power and 1.5 milliseconds. The other setting is 3 milliseconds, but only 26%. So let's do this. So far, so good. So one thing I have to be careful of is you know, am I pulling the wire to the band or am I pulling the band to the wire? Most of the time I'm pulling the wire to the band to the wire. So I think I got a decent weld there. This one, it's going to be a little bit of pulling the band to the wire. I might have to change my tip already. Oh, I got it. Usually if you can get that very first one to land, the rest will follow. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I was being very overcautious, so let me flip this over and see if I can no. So I'm gonna break these welds. Almost said welds. I don't want to break the welds. I'm just teasing this off. I want this. I do not want to flex this band in any way because I can't get to the underside of this with that electrode, and that might be where, you know, a laser welder can come into play. Is it can make this shot underneath here where I can't. There we go. I'll set that down temporarily just to make sure that these bands did not. I'll show you what I mean. So right now, it does have a little flex to it, but I think once I get a good weld underneath, I'll be able to stiffen that up a bit. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm just going to go ahead and use a brand new sharp tip. See how short that looked? I did something wrong here. I don't know if you can tell. There are these little measuring things here. And if you slide the electrode in, it gives you the exact length to keep that. And then I tighten the nut and I put the cone back on. Put that back in the slot there. And then let's do the underside. Well, I didn't sharpen that tip very good. Am I going to get a weld? Oh, I did. Sweet. Keep going. So I do have my Lampert welder on continuous. Which means I can get these fast welds going. Okay, let's do the other side. Can I get a weld? Oh yeah, I got one. Oh, I'm lucking out today. That means the lower lingual arch is going to be terrible. Woo! I feel like I almost busted through that. Yeah, my tip, it got real short. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump the power, bump the juice. Right, Beckett? Yep. Beckett's asleep. I'm going to bump the juice, the power, and I'm going to get the end of this wire right here. And we'll see it smooth off. Now I'm not touching the band at all. If I touch the band right now, it will, I'm going to drop down one level and get closer to the band. See if I can combine that with the band. I can't. Most likely I'm going to trim that a little bit just to make that smoother for the patient. That one definitely needs to be trimmed. So actually let me do that real quick. Switch over to the wrong one. Switch over to the wrong one. This one. So I'm just going to get a Mizzy heatless wheel here. And I'm going to just grind that little tip off. Now, the good thing is, I don't have to solder and I don't have to deal with all that. But I am just slightly rounding that. Oh, I can't see anything. I just want to feel it with my hand and make sure. I'll still like pumice and hash on this, but I don't know how well you can see this or not. My little weld joint. Doesn't look continuous all the way through there, but it is. That's a good one. Oh yeah, you can see that one. Yeah. So there we go. There's that first one. I'm just going to go ahead and if we have time today, I'll sprinkle a little Nance button on here, but y'all probably all seen a Nance button before being trimmed. So I put a little separator in there. And I have had a little bit of issue with the separator on this. We'll let that dry. And we'll start on the, we're halfway through, okay. Let's start on the lower lingual arch, the LLHA, Lower Lingual Holding Arch. And these bands do look bigger because the doctor did ask for 1/2 size, fit 1/2 size bigger. So let me back up just a bit. There we go. So let's go with this. I learned this technique doing this little zigzag from Jason, the lab owner I used to work with. He did all of his like this, and it kind of makes sense. Helps because most likely they're wearing this as they lose these baby teeth, baby teeth, baby tooth, baby tooth. These are, you can't tell because his mouth is so small. Whoa, I did that all crooked, like not paying attention. So you can see it kind of gets it down and out of the way of the rest of the appliance. I kind of want to flare it in. These, you have to be careful. You do not want these adjustment loops to dig into the lingual of the mouth. So I'm going to I'm trying to mark it in the same spot on both sides where I want my adjustment loop to start. And there's those that make a lot of these. Do y'all put adjustment loops on y'all's? The doctors. I like to use my smallest loop former here. Do that. And I do that. I'll take my pliers here, make a 90-degree bend, get my loop former in here, and do a loop, and swing that back around and continue, kind of like you would do for a wraparound. Now, you can see this is kind of going off a little bit. I'm going to put some pliers on here and bring it back. There we go. Now, I do need to, I'm going to pull these in a little bit like this, and that helps to get them away from the gums. If I thought ahead, I probably should have went ahead and pre-bent these so I can show more of the welding. But I wanted to show y'all the struggle is real when it comes to wire bending and welding with the pulse arc welder. I don't know how some labs do it where they have dedicated welders, and that's all they do all day is weld, and so they actually have to weld other wire benders' work. And I kind of wonder, do they have a really good communication method for, telling, hey, the wire bender, listen, your wire's not touching the band like I need it to. So you can see this is coming at a different angle than this wire. So I'm going to try to tuck this in a little bit, put a little step in it, just to. All right. Let me see. I gotta find my smaller 3 prongs. Found them. Beckett was hiding them. No. Back out. So I bent that out first, and then I'm going to go in front of that mark, bend in. And that didn't do anything. What I'm trying to do is get this wire as parallel to this tooth as possible. It looks like I'm pretty well there. I still want it to curve around the tooth a bit. So I'm going to put a couple marks here and here and try to put a little curve in this. You can see it's almost like I'm just barely doing this. Okay. I really need a magnifying glass to bend wires under to do this. So I'm going to cut this on that last mark. You can kind of see it right there. And, you know, I did experiment a little bit with like using my Mizzy heatless wheel to make this squared off. And it didn't work too well. For some reason, I couldn't get it to be on the right. I just couldn't get it to work. Now, I have seen these things that you can weld to the lingual of this, and it's like a little rail or a little cup that you can just lay the wire in. I've been curious about that. I don't know if anybody out there has experimented with that. So I have this pretty much where I want it. If I have this right where I want it, this is where it gets a little complicated for me. So now I'm going to bend this up a bit because I've got to get this exactly where I want it, get this front exactly where I want it, and bend the other side to meet it. So I need to bend this out a little bit. I'm not even touching that. There we go. Now I'm a little flared right here. I don't like that. I don't like this flare, so I'm going to do something. What am I going to do? Let's pull. I'm going to pull this away. I know it's going to make it worse for a second. There goes Pete. And then I'm going to bend this up. So holding this here. This, I can see now this little thing is going to be a problem. It's touching the gums. I don't want that to dig into the gums. So if you could tell, I grabbed it and I did a little twist on it. I don't know if you can see it. There are different ways of, I don't know how many of y'all tried to get in between. I just try, in this case, I'm just keeping it nice and smooth. Some doctors will get in here and expand these adjustment loops and actually smooth out those teeth. There's some, I think it's called a Wilson lingual arch that does that. And it's a removable lingual arch. Okay, am I getting anywhere close? Now I see why I got a problem. This angle right here is kind of going downward. This one is kind of coming upward a little bit. So I grabbed it here and I kind of pushed that whole joint down, and now I'm gonna pull it. I gotta pull the whole thing back up. All right, where'd that put me? That put me way off. You see what I'm dealing with here? I gotta have a better attitude about this. Let me try it from a different view. Nope. See, I'm below the band there. So I need to move this up some. What is that on my thumb? Ooh, I like that. That looks good. I did. I don't know what happened. I think I'm rocking up here. Let me cut this. This is getting a little long. So I'm just kind of walking y'all through this process as I go through the process. You know, no secrets, no cuts where it's cuts to, you know, it's perfectly bent. And y'all didn't realize I spent 3 hours to get it perfect. But hopefully this doesn't take me 3 hours. All right, I like how that is flared out just a bit. Probably can't tell in the camera so well. I keep pushing this up against the teeth. That's the worst thing, is you get all this perfect and then this is not even touching the teeth. And this is, oh, it's so close. So I'm looking at this, and this is kind of where I want it. This one dips down a little bit. So I think I need to bring this whole thing up, starting at this joint right there, and just bring it up. Now the level of the mouth may be off, you know, due to, you know, he's, this kid's missing some. And, well, I was about to undo what I just did. So I'm trying to hold this with my thumb over here, hold that with my finger there, and then look at the difference in what I need to do and get this plier out. Nope, I guess I won't get the plier out. Okay, I think this isn't a full 90 right here. Comment. Oh, Diana. Hello, everyone. Did not get the notification. Oh, no. Yeah, I think I did the live stream for my church, and I didn't get the notification on my phone for the live stream. I did get one for this one, but it's like 15 minutes early. So I don't know what's going on with the notification systems with YouTube. But that being said, maybe if you make sure you click the little bell icon down below. I think you have to subscribe first. And every time I schedule a live stream, it will notify you. It's supposed to notify you, but it definitely won't if you don't click the bell down below. Beckett, how was that for doing like and subscribe? Am I the cool YouTubers now? Yes. Okay, I'm getting very close. Again, I'm taking my time on this. If I was soldering this, I mean, I really just have to touch it, the bands in a couple spots, and I'm good to go. The solder fills in the rest. You don't have any filler with the weld. You could use some filler wire, I guess, but it's a little hard to do. But maybe that's a secret. Maybe it's everybody else's secret when they're welding. Welding is great. It really is. But there are some drawbacks, as with all technology. Okay, I'm getting there. Holding it at this angle to help. So I'm holding it in the front here against the teeth. I'm holding it against the band here, right in the middle, right where I want to weld it. And I'm working to get this very close. So I do have, well, those, anybody hear those call ducks? They are loud. Beckett, can you hear that in the headphones? Yeah. Oh, okay. I think they're all getting hungry. Okay, I think I nailed it right there. I'm happy with that. I think I got everything touching the way I want to. Actually, I could just curve that just a bit. You know, famous last words. This is where I do that last final bend, and then this flips out of my hand, and I lose it forever. I got to start over. So just put a slight little curve on that wire, and let's cut this short. And I think we're good. Let's try this out. I'm gonna tack it once so it's easy to undo, and then we'll look at it under the microscope, and we'll see what I need to adjust or if we're good to start welding. Let that wax cool, and I'm gonna zoom in a bit so y'all can see. So I'm touching, it looks like from about here to here, which is going to give me a good weld. That's most of that tooth. You want to get as much of that tooth as possible. And I'm touching from here to here. So okay, I think we're good. Now, I just realized I didn't wax these bands down, so I need to make sure my bands didn't flare up or anything. I think we're good. It just looks weird because they're oversized a bit. All right, to the welder. Not that one. That one. Oh, those call decks are so loud. So I'm going to change out my electrode again. And again, I like to do everything. Start a new appliance, I change the electrode. And that looks a little blurry until I get up there. But I have this on the wrong setting. So I like to have this up in my face so I can just look up and look at the reading right before I weld. Because there's been many times that I've started welding and I'm on the wrong setting and I blow a hole in the band. All right, let's take a look. Oh, that electrode looks absolutely horrendous. I wish y'all could see what I'm seeing in here. That would be so helpful. Okay, I think we're good. I just got to choose a different electrode. I'm actually going to look at the other side. Yep, I think that electrode is bad. It's like fraying on me. That one looks good. Yeah, that one too. So I'm going to put that in, put the cap back on, lock it down into position, and let's cross our fingers. Nope, 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 yes, nope. Nope. Yes. 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 Nope. Nope. Now try to run that weld as far out as I can. Now remember, I'm most likely pulling the band to the wire, which will actually make the band tighter. So I have to be careful with that. This shifted on me. Oh, I only welded it in one place. I mean, waxed it in one place. Let me wax it down. That weld on that side kind of put a little twist in this wire. There we go. There we go. Make sure I'm kind of supporting the wire a little bit. It kind of wants to sag a bit. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with those. Let's pull this off the... I'm gonna break that. Now you gotta make sure you're touching, because the welding has a tendency to shrink things up if you're not careful. That's why I do wax that down, but you could also, you know, super glue it down, use a little fillet. You could do that if you want it to. I don't do it out of habit. Usually the wax holds it pretty well. Now, oh, come on. This band's a little tighter. There we go. And clean this up so that it'll slide onto the model better. So let's do the underside, and let's get the flies back. So I'm just taking my Mizzy heatless wheel. I'm just kind of tapering down this. I'm going to try to do it before I weld the gum side of the band. And I thought maybe if I do that, it'll help blend in better. So there's my welds. Ah, my hands were dirty. Okay, and let's get the underside. I wonder if I'll zoom in a bit. Maybe since I don't have the model. Actually, I need to change out this tip real quick. Ooh, that's a good one. If you hear me say the word tip, I mean electrode. I'm thinking about the sharpened tip of the electrode is what I need to change. All right. Glance up. I'm looking at the settings. It looks good, and I'm gonna try to zoom. I don't know how well my camera can zoom in. Nope. Usually once you get that very first one started, connecting the wire to the band, you can expand off of that and run a good bead, which is what I did there. Alright, before I change the settings and try to round that end, let's see if I can run a bead on this side. This bead is a little janky. My tip started, so the tip dulls as you go, and this one kind of dulled in a weird way. Got a little air bubble there. There we go. Sealed it up. Air bubble no more. There we go. I don't know if you can see the inside of the band, but you can kind of see where I welded. Oh, don't touch that again. you can kind of see. I'll show it on the other camera. I'm going to boost the juice and see if I can round off this end. Now, I'm not going to touch the band because it'll blow a hole in the band, but there we go. I saw Sunstone welders. Let me see if I can connect that at the end here. I reduced the power. All right, let me change it. See, I'm going to flip the electrode here. There's a lot of this going on. So nothing glamorous with this welder. Oh, I just lost that inside there. Uh-oh. Maybe I'm done. There it goes. Oh, that scared me for a second. There we go, brand new tip. There we go. So this is also what I do for attaching weldable brackets to the bands, tubes and stuff. Well, this isn't working. I tried. Okay. Back to here. So there's my welds. And it's actually really decently stiff. See, what I worry is this flex motion. But since I was able to get the underside, it looks like. So one big thing is, I guess if the band was way bigger, so these are small teeth, there's not going to be much flexing. But I think if the tooth was bigger, I might have to put like an extra bend in the wire to give it, 2 dimensions to weld against. But let me change over to this old acrylic burr. Again, I'm just feeling it with my finger and make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to hang up or stab the kid or anything like that. I do tend to like to put a little taper at the end of the wire just for smoothness effects. Yep, a little bit too. I feel a little, I think it's where it's not welded. But so what I'm going to do is I'll pumice and polish these, and that, of course that's just normal. Again, I'll try to take a picture of the finished polished one. Again, it's hard to take a picture on these things because they see these bands, they tightened up. They get a little tight. But there is the finished weld without solder. So pretty decent. Definitely got some more work to do. This is the Nance. So this is ready to, I gotta put another coat of separator on here to do the acrylic, but we've run out of time. But there is our weld there. I wonder if I can get a better shot using this camera. Come on. Nope. Start back, go forward. No, okay. Can't get zoomed in. Well, that's the hard part about this. But anyway, that is the end. That is my attempt at welding with no solder. I give myself maybe a 90 out of 100. There's a lot of practice I need to start doing. I need to buy some new electrodes. Those are getting kind of short and starting to fray at the end, and it causes it to be pretty difficult to use. I'm pretty sure I can do one of these in 4 hours, right? And it takes a long time. You think you're saving time doing one of these, and what a lot of labs will do is they'll duplicate the 3D printed model and then pour it up in stone and then just bend it like normal and solder like normal. That way I don't have to deal with the weld. But again, you get pretty good at the welding and mainly the wire bending. The welding's pretty easy if the wire bending's right on. I mean, the wires need to be perfectly parallel, and the wire to the band needs to be perfectly parallel. But yeah, I feel you on that. It does take a while. This took two of these took an hour. So that's how it goes. But I'm gonna call it there. We're right on time. That was perfect, and I'll try to post some pictures of this on my Facebook and on the Instagram Reels thingies face page. Anyway, I will talk to y'all later. I do have my ending cup here. Let me get my outro ready. But again, if y'all have any questions, whether you're watching the recording of this later, put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them the best I can. You see, I'm starting to train myself again to bend better so that I can use the welder better. And that's the whole thing. It's practice, practice, practice. So with that being said, I will see y'all next week. And until then, happy bending.